Hello and good evening everyone, and welcome back to yet another live from Hitbullseye. The topic that I will discuss with you today is sentence correction, which you must have heard of, often known as grammar, part error and correction. So basically this is a topic of grammar that is very common in the competitive exams and the MBA entrance exams. Though this is not a part of the CAT exam, but in non-CAT exam it's a very common question type. So we will see what kind of errors can you find in sentences and how can you correct them. If I talk about the grammar question, there are different ways of asking or testing your grammar through the questions in papers. First is fill in the blanks, wherein a blank is given and you have to find out the appropriate word from the option that you can fit in there. The second is finding the part which has an error, in which a sentence is probably broken into 4 pieces and you have to find out that part which has the error. So in this you are not supposed to correct it. And the third type is sentence correction, where a sentence is given and probably a phrase or some part of that sentence is underlined and you have to find out the right alternative for the underlined part, as in which option will you choose so as to correct the whole sentence. So let us see what all have we got in sentence correction and how can we manage these questions without delving deep into the grammar books. It's some type of question are very common, some types of errors are very common, and I believe if you know about those types, you will be very much close to, do all these questions correctly and score well and have that edge over the other students. So let's get into the video. If you have any doubt or there is any question that you are struggling with, you may put it in the chat box and I'll answer that. Alright, so we will see some tricks to solve sentence correction question. The topics that I will discuss with you today are going to be the most common type of errors that you find in a particular question. First is subject and verb agreement. Now before starting this topic, let me just brief you about the basics of English sentences. A normal simple English sentence, you can divide it into 3 grammatical structures, which are subject, verb and an object of the sentence. So this is the basic structure. Now subject is that part of the sentence which either do some action or something is being said about it. For example, it can be name of a person, it can be pronoun, it can be some idea that is discussed. At the focus point of the sentence, it can be anything, it will be the subject of the sentence. If we talk about the parts of speech or the fundamental things in grammar that can come under this category of the sentence, you may have a noun in place of this, you may have a pronoun, it can be a gerund. Gerund are verb ing words which do a role of noun. The role that they play is that of a noun, not a verb ing. For example, if I say swimming is something I really like. So here swimming is a thing that I am referring to. It means it's a noun, not a verb ing, not a continuous tense. So if they are doing the role of noun, verb ing word, it is known as gerund. So in the subject you may have these things, and one is noun phrase. So it's not necessary that the subject of the sentence will only be one word. It can be a phrase also. For example, if I say running through the park after dark is dangerous. So what question comes to our mind? What is dangerous? Is it just running through the park? Is it just at night? Is it just park? So it's the whole phrase, running through the park after dark. This whole phrase is the subject of the sentence that is discussed in the sentence. So this is subject. Now this subject will do some action. The action will be mentioned in this part, verb of the sentence. And the last part is object. So whatever action is being done by the subject, it will have some effect on the object of the sentence. Now you know that action words can come here. What all words can come in place of the object? All these categories. So just as in subject you have noun, pronoun, gerunds and noun phrases, similarly in the object also you will have the same things. Let me give you an example. If I say, I helped him, or I helped, let's say, Ria. I am the doer of the action. What action am I doing? I am helping. Who am I helping? Her, Ria. So she will be the object of the sentence, I'll be the subject. Now, why is this important? Discussing these three structure is because you have to identify the subject of a sentence. No matter how complex or lengthy the sentence is, you're supposed to identify what is the thing being discussed here. Because once you've identified it, you have to make sure that the verb agrees with it. Which means a singular subject will take a singular verb, a plural subject will take a plural verb. So if I say, I am playing, with I will use am. But if I say we, then I'll change the am into are. We are playing. So this is the simple rule. If I state these simple example, you will easily identify it. It gets a little tricky if the sentence is very lengthy and complex, but we will learn it through examples. So my today's live, I will focus on clarifying the concepts. We will learn the rules in a very fun way, and probably in 2-3 next lives I will be discussing the different question types and we will solve those questions together. I hope subject verb agreement is clear. Yes, Herman, very good evening. Very good evening, Herman. Okay, next is subject and pronoun agreement, in which you may find an error. So just as the number of verb will be according to the number of subject, similarly for a group of people you will use a different pronoun like they, we, and if it's a single person and first person you will use I. If it is the second person you will use you. If it's the third person and female, it will be she. Third person and male will be he. So similarly, you have to make sure that the number of pronoun and the number of subject agrees with each other. If you feel in that sentence they are not agreeing, then again it's an error. So you have to correct that part. Misplaced modifiers. Now modifiers are the things, or you can say parts of speech which performs the role of modifying something else. They determine the quality of something else. In English language, when we discuss the parts of speech, which are 8 in number, noun, pronoun, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, preposition, conjunction, and interjection, it becomes very clear that 2 to 3 things are very important in these parts of speech. The first is noun and pronoun, because they perform some role. They are the ones who do the action. Automatically, action or verb is also a very important thing. The rest of the things that you see in the parts of speech, for example, adjectives and adverbs, they don't have an independent role. They are there in the sentence because they are modifying something else. They're determining something else. For example, adjectives will modify the noun and pronoun. If I say the girl is beautiful, so this beautiful is modifying the girl is a noun. If I say the girl sings beautifully, sings is a verb. So singing is beautiful, which means beautifully will become an adverb. So adjectives and adverbs are known as modifier because their role is to modify something else. The rest of the parts of speech like preposition simply tell you about the position of noun and pronoun with respect of the rest of the things in the sentence. So their role is again an additional one. Conjunctions, they join 2 words, 2 phrases or 2 clauses. So their role is just of joining things. And then we have interjection, which we rarely use. Interjection are those words which show some sudden emotion or feeling, like hooray, alas, we lost him. So alas is an expression basically. It shows that a person is in grief. If still you don't have clarity about the parts of speech, you want to start from the very basics, I've already done some lives on the grammar topic also. You may visit the page and you may find out the grammar videos and see those videos. So your concepts will be clear and then you will do these questions even in a better way. Okay, so misplaced. Misplaced means the placing is not correct of that modifier. To give you an example, if I say, okay, first of all, let's discuss what are the modifiers. Modifier can be adjective, adverb, it can be an adjective phrase also. Just as the subject can be a whole phrase can modify something else also. So it can be an adjective phrase. And the last thing is participles. Now participles are verb ing or verb ed words that do or perform the role of a modifier. For example, if I say the overloaded truck. Overloaded, which you may think that it is the third form of the verb, it's the participle form. No. Overloaded truck. Overloaded, you can say modifies the truck. How is the truck? It's overloaded. So overloaded is an adjective here, not verb's third form. So these are known as participle. They all can be modifiers. Now let me give you an example. How can modifiers be misplaced? What if I say, Sheena sees India Gate jogging every morning? How does that sound? Funny, right? How can India Gate be jogging every morning? So who is jogging every morning? Sheena. So this jogging every morning, this whole phrase, which is an adjective, should be placed close to Sheena so that the sentence is correct. We will be taking up these few topics, the last 4 topics, in the next live. Today I will only discuss the initial 2 with you. So you just have to correct the placing of the modifier. How will we correct that sentence? While jogging every morning, Sheena sees India Gate will be the right form. Parallel construction. Parallel. Just as parallel lines never intersect each other and they have the equal distance between them, they maintain the consistency. Similarly, in a sentence, different grammatical parts perform, or you can say maintains, the parallel construction or the consistency. For example, if I am saying I like swimming, dancing and to jump, if I am using swimming, dancing, I am separating them with the commas. How can I suddenly say to cook or to dance? So I have to keep it same. Swimming, dancing or singing. Just like that. ING words will go. If there are ING words separated by commas and it will remain the same. The grammatical structure or the role will be same. So parallel construction is maintained in different types of things that I will discuss in the next class. Next is redundancy. Redundancy is the error of using 2 words which mean the same thing, which is not required. To give you an example, if I say, the reason I got late for the class is because it was raining today. When you have already said that you're stating a reason. The reason I got late for the class, you don't have to say because after that, because you've already said that you're stating a reason. So this is known as redundancy. So we will omit the because here and I will simply say the reason I got late today is as it was raining, basically. So this is how you have to answer these questions. Last is diction. Diction is when you may use a wrong word in place of some other word which probably sounds same. For example, for proscribe you may write prescribe. For felicitate you may say facilitate. So these are the errors in vocabulary or the right choice of words. These are the broad areas in which you may find error, and then they have further subtypes that I will take up one by one. So let us get into the video quickly. So I hope I am clearly audible to everyone. Alright, so moving on. Exceptions in subject and verb agreement. So I told you that it's always seen that if the subject is singular, the verb will be singular. Subject is plural, the verb will also be plural. But then there are some exceptions. Let us see these exceptions now. Hypothetical situation. For example, I say, I wish. So I am wishing something. That has not happened. I am imagining something. Hypothetical means imagination. Imagining something. Not real. I wish if I were or was a billionaire. Let us see who's going to answer this one. Drop in your answers quickly, everyone. Should it be were or was? Let's see who's going to answer this one. You may drop in your answers in the chat box. Okay, so whenever you're hypothesizing something, even if the subject is singular, which is I, you will still use were. Were is typically used with a plural word, right? But here it's a hypothetical situation, an imaginary situation, so I will use were. I hope you can recall from your school days when we used to write essays on if I were a president, if I were a prime minister. So again, we were using were there, right? Did we ever pay attention to that? The reason is because we are imagining something which we actually are not. In this case, irrespective of the singular subject, we will use were. Alright, thank you for the confirmation, Ayush. Second one, blessing and wishes. In these cases, for example, may he lives or live long. So we know that in the simple present tense, we use s or es, or we add s or es to a verb if the verb is preceded by third person singular. Let me tell you, third person singular pronouns are he, she, it. These are the third person. First person is I or we, second person is you. Third person is he, she or it. He for male, she for female, it for neuter gender or non-living things. It's only in the simple present tense that you add s or es to a verb followed by these words. Always remember this. But this is an exception. When you are wishing a person, he is a third person singular. May he lives long or live long? Can anyone answer this one? Yes, Ayush, you answered the previous question correctly. Let's see if you can answer this one now. Let's see who's going to answer this one. Very good, Ayush. Wonderful. So it should be may he live long. Because when you are wishing a person, when you are wishing something for a person, you are not only referring to the present tense, it's relevant in all the tenses. So you would wish that person to be blessed in the future also, right? So let's keep it simple. When it's a wish or it's a blessing, then it is without the s or es, in spite of having a third person singular he. If I say he writes, then it will be writes. He runs, she dances, but in wishes and blessings, it will be simple live. Similarly, may God bless you and not blesses you, because we are not seeking blessing for him just for the present tense, right? We would do that for future also. Absolutely right. Yes, who is this? Ishwari, absolutely right. Now, past tense versus present tense. This one is a simple thing. He played, she played, they played, we played. In the past tense, we just consider these participle forms of the verb, irrespective of having male or female, singular or plural pronoun. They is a plural, he and she is singular. Played remain the same. But in the present tense, this keeps on changing. If we have third person singular he, it will be plays. If we have a third person plural, which is they, it will be simply play and not plays. She is a third person singular, plays. We is a first person plural, it will be play. So it's simple. In English, when the subject is singular in the simple present tense, when the subject is singular, you will add s or es to the verb. If the subject is plural in the simple present tense, you won't add s or es to the verb. So it's opposite. Try to remember it, and if you are confused about it, just see the video again. Now, and some more exceptions. Yes, Ayush, Ishwari, all of you have answered it correctly. Let us see if you can answer these questions. Bread and butter is or are his favorite breakfast? Quickly, let us see who's going to be the first one to answer this. Bread and butter is or are his favorite breakfast? Waiting for your replies, everyone. Come on, drop in your answers. Go through all the sentences and write down your answers. So in the first one, bread and butter, though it looks as if we have taken two subjects, so it should be plural. But that's not true, because bread and butter is one meal. Here we are referring to them as breakfast, which means one meal. Which means we are taking them as one whole entity. which means subject is singular. So bread and butter, it will be is. Very good, Ishwari. That is commendable. So bread and butter is his favorite breakfast. The same bread and butter in the second sentence is plural. Let's see how. So this is the subject. The same subject in the next one. Bread and butter is or are costlier nowadays. We are talking about their price. You know that when you go to buy bread and butter, these are two different things and you buy them separately. So here the subject is plural. Here it was singular, the same subject. So it depends upon the context of the sentence. For some words, are they being referred to as one thing or are we talking about them separately? If we are talking about them separately, then it's a plural. His plan and idea is or are great. Yes, Ishwari, for the second also your answer is correct. His plan and idea is or are great. It will be is great because this is the plan and idea of the same person. The words are used synonymously here, referring to the same thing. The suggestion that he has given, it's one. So it will be is. The teacher and the leader is or are dead. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Start from the fourth one. Let us see who's going to answer these 4 questions now. The teacher and the leader is or are dead. Yes, Ishwari, Ayush, Harman. Let us see who's going to answer this one. Alright, for this one, the teacher and the leader, it will be are dead. In the next one, the teacher and leader, it will be is dead. Sixth one, my friend and a doctor, it will be help me. My friend and doctor helps me. So let us understand how did we make the agreement between these subjects and the verbs they are followed by. So fourth and fifth, they have the same subject, the teacher and the leader. The difference is with the article. You have used 2 separate definite articles, which means these are 2 different people. The teacher and the doctor are 2 different people, which makes the subject plural, 2 people. That is the reason we used are here, a plural verb. The teacher and a leader, no article, no a, no the, which means the same teacher is a leader also. Person is same. So this will be singular, singular verb. My friend and a doctor help or helps me. My friend and a doctor, we've used a separate article. These are 2 different people. So it will be help because helps is used with singular subject, as I told you. My friend and doctor, the same friend is a doctor also because no separate article is used for doctor. It will be helps me. Singular subject, singular verb with an S or ES it may be. I hope these exceptions are clear. So this is how you prepare the grammar topics. The conventional way of delving deep into the grammar books and trying to do all the exception, I know it is a tedious task. So what do we do rather? We pick up the previous year papers and see the grammar portion in that. We jot down the subject areas from which they would ask you questions again and again. And this way you will come down or you'll narrow down certain topics from which they will always ask questions. And you will definitely score good in the section. Alright, now let us move on to these 2 concepts that I want to discuss with you. FSR it stands for FAR subject rule. NSR on the next slide stands for near subject rule. When do we use these 2 rules? If we have 2 subjects, principal and teachers. One is singular, one is plural. We get confused. Should it be followed by is or are? Now what will it depend upon? When you have 2 subjects and they both have different number, one is singular, one is plural, you will see the conjunction pair they are using or the conjunction phrase you can say that separates them. Principal as well as teacher shows addition of teachers in principal as if this subject number 1 is more important than subject number 2. We are simply showing an addition. In this case, you will consider the far subject, far from the verb. Principal is far and principal is singular. That is the reason we will use is in this case. Principal as well as teachers is busy. So no matter what you've been learning and saying, this is the right form. This is the right rule. Now how will you decide when to consider the far subject, when to consider the near subject? It will depend upon these words. If those two subjects have any of these, along with, in addition to, together with, besides, accompanied by, and not, like and with, all these words just show that there is an addition of the second subject in the first subject, as if the first subject is more important. This is known as far subject rule, in which you will use, very good Ishwari, you answered it correctly again. That is really impressive. Okay, this one, near subject rule. Not only principal but also teachers is or are playing. Now in this case you will consider the near subject, which is teachers, which is plural. So it will be are. Why did we consider the near subject and not the far subject? Because now the word have changed. Not only but also, rather than, either or simply this word or. When you have any of these words joining to subject, you will consider the near subject, subject near to the verb. I hope this concept is clear to everyone. Let's proceed further. Indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronoun means, see, we all know that pronoun are the word that replaces noun. They come in place of noun. Now, there are certain pronouns for which we do not know what was the noun, right? It's ambiguous in our mind कि ये pronoun किस noun के लिए use हुआ है. So single indefinite pronouns like anyone, anybody, each, either, none uses singular verb. तो वो वाले pronouns जो singular sound करते हैं, they will be followed by singular verbs. Anyone, anybody, each, either, none uses singular verb. Plural indefinite pronouns like few, many and several, जिन्हें सुन के भी हमें पता लगता है कि it is some amount, कि एक से तो ज़्यादा है. Few, many and several, they will be followed by plural verbs. All, any, most and some, these they depend upon the situation. Depend on the situation, they can be singular also, plural also. You'll have to understand the sentence and the context, and it's not too tricky. Okay, Ishwari, you just asked me when to use far subject rule, when to use near subject rule. It will depend upon the joining word or the joining phrase. If you have words like along with, in addition to, accordance with, in this case there is simply an addition, right? तो इस केस में आप far subject को consider करते हो. पर जब आपका joining word है not only but also, rather than, either or, इन cases में आप near subject को consider करते हो. I suggest you guys to see the video once again once the live is over, and the concept will be thorough. And if there is still any doubt, I will come up with more examples in the next live. Just suggest that to me in the chat box. Okay, let us see this. Each of Sylvia Plath's bee poems use the theme of beekeeping to express aspects of human condition. Now probably this is the first lengthy sentence that we are doing in today's class. Let us understand कि subject को कैसे identify करते हैं, verb को कैसे करते हैं, and then how to make them agree in number. अब इसको पढ़ के आपको लगेगा that bee poems is the subject here. Bee poems is plural, but it's not the subject. Subject है हमारा each. So when I say each of Sylvia Plath's bee poems, though poems are too many, but at one point of time I am only talking about one. When I say each of the students, I am at one point of time only referring to one, everyone individually. So each is singular. Singular subject. How can we use a plural verb here? Use is a plural verb. I have to say uses. क्योंकि मेरा subject singular है, subject मेरा each है. तो मैं एक बार में सिल्विया प्लाथ की एक ही poem की बात कर रही हूँ. Each of Sylvia Plath's bee poem uses the theme of beekeeping to express aspects of human condition. I hope we are clear with this one. So taking a simple example, when I say each of the student is present or are present, it will be is present. भले ही आपको स्टूडेंट्स देख के लगे कि ये तो बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं, बट हमारा सब्जेक्ट तो ईच है, क्योंकि मैं एक बार में एक की ही बात कर रही हूँ. तो each of the student is present in the class is the right form. So when we talk about the conversation part, I know we can, we say in any way we like, but when it comes to the comparative exam, we have to stick to the rules. Now, collective nouns. There are different types of noun. Out of them, there is one category, collective noun, and it may have some error. The reason is, collective noun is a collection of things or a group of things, but the word used for it is singular. So in that case, it comes to our mind ki should I consider it a singular subject or a plural subject? It will depend upon the context. Let us see how. Okay, some example of collective noun are band, minority, majority, class, community. Band is a group of musician. Minority, majority, class is a group of student. Community, dozen is a group of 12. Family, public, team. All the words are singular, but they have a group of people in them, clearly. So when they act as one entity, use a singular verb. When they will act as separate entities, use a plural verb for them. Look at this one now. Our team. In both the sentences, I have used the same subject, which is our team. But in the first case, our team is or are in its best form. So the first hint is team always work as one when they are performing. This is hint number 1. Hint number 2 is look at the pronoun used for this subject. They themselves have used its, not their. Our team is in its best form. अगर यहाँ पर their दिया होता तो ये their use हुआ है team के लिए. वहाँ से हमें hint मिल जाता that the team is considered as plural. But they have themselves used a singular pronoun, which means subject is singular. तो हम use करेंगे is because the team is performing as one. They are fighting as one. Our team is or are wearing their new uniform. In this case, we are talking about them wearing the uniform. They cannot all fit in same uniform, right? They are all individually wearing their uniforms. So the right answer should be are wearing their new uniform. Look at this now. Another hint. Pronoun is given. Pronoun is plural used for team, which means subject is plural. So we will use are here. So for collective noun, it will depend upon the context. Subject pronoun agreement, the second topic that we are to discuss. The pronoun must agree with its antecedent in number. Antecedent is the noun जिसकी जगह पे हम pronoun को use करते हैं. Rule is a singular pronoun must be replaced by a singular pronoun. A plural pronoun will be replaced by, a plural noun will be replaced by plural pronoun. A phrase or a clause in between the main noun and the pronoun doesn't change anything. चाहे उनके बीच में कितने ही word हो, कितने ही phrases हो, just identify the subject and see the pronoun used for it. Look at this example. The jar of lima beans sits on its shelf. अब आप एक बार के लिए देखोगे कि beans तो plural है, तो pronoun भी plural use होना चाहिए. But हम बात किसकी कर रहे हैं? हम jar की बात कर रहे हैं जिसके अंदर बहुत सारी lima beans हैं. So the jar is sitting on the shelf, which means the jar of lima beans sits. Another hint students, इन्होंने खुद verb singular use किया है sentence में, which means कि इन्होंने consider किया है jar को singular. The jar of lima beans sits on, it will be its shelf. So simple rule, subject में, verb में और उसी subject के लिए use हुए pronoun में agreement होना चाहिए number में. या तो वो सब singular होंगे या plural होंगे. Indefinite pronoun, singular indefinite pronoun antecedents take singular pronoun referent. Singular pronouns, singular indefinite pronoun कौन से होते हैं? Each, neither, one. जिसमें हमें ये नहीं पता कि हम किस noun की बात कर रहे हैं. When I say each of the student, am I mentioning the person here? No, right? That is the reason we call them indefinite pronoun. We are not definite what is the noun that they are used for. Each, neither, one, no one, everyone, someone, anybody, nobody, anyone, etc. are singular. Yes, you heard it right. So when we say everyone, someone, so you must be thinking कि ma'am this is clearly pronoun, but it's a rule in English कि जो pronoun indefinite होते हैं they are followed by singular verbs only. So it's a common rule in English. Each of the students was carrying, not were carrying, was carrying his book. क्योंकि each, neither, no one, someone, somebody, anyone, anybody, ये सब indefinite pronoun है. We don't know कि ये किस noun के लिए use हुए हैं. तो they will be followed by singular verb. When the object of the preposition is uncountable, use a singular referent pronoun. For example, some of the books fell out of their bag. Now, some of the books. Books is something that you can count. तो ऐसे indefinite pronoun जिसके बाद आपको number बताया हो and it is countable, the subject is countable, तब आप उसको plural consider करोगे. But if they say some of the sugar fell out of its jar, तो sugar is uncountable. You cannot count the the grains or the speck of the sugar. तो उसके बाद जो verb आएगा वो क्या होगा? The sentence some of the sugar fell out of its bag. तो जो उसके बाद pronoun आएगा उसको हम singular लेंगे. Books are countable, therefore the sentence has a plural referent pronoun, यानी कि their. All of the jewels have lost their glow. Jewels is again countable, इसलिए jewels के बाद आया है pronoun plural, their. So if I say, अगर इसकी जगह पे मैं बोलती jewelry, jewelry is uncountable. So in that case आप its use करते. All of the jewelry has lost its glow because you cannot count it. Moving on to some practice questions now. Though I'll be coming up with more such rules and more such topics, given the paucity of time, we will see some question types and try to learn or reinforce the concept that we have learned. Alright, so the first question, it has 4 parts. You have to identify the part which has an error. Let us see who's going to answer this question. Neither failure in the examination nor the great wrath of his father are going to upset him. To drop a hint for you students, this is the example of near subject rule. क्योंकि हमने neither और nor को use किया है. Try to identify the verb and change the number. I've dropped in all the hints for you. Near subject rule में आप किसका नंबर चेक करते हो? Near subject का, जो verb के पास है. तो verb ढूंढो कहाँ पे है and see if it is correct or not. Let us see, Ishwari, if you can answer this one. Ayush, you too. Drop in your answer, everyone. Alright, so the time is up. The right answer is D, because in the near subject rule, neither failure in the examination nor the great wrath of his father. Wrath of his father is a singular thing, so it will be replaced by is going to upset him. Though it may look as if we have used 2 subject, it should be plural. But ये 2 subject and के साथ join नहीं हुए. They are joined with a pair that is neither and nor. तो neither and nor के case में या फिर rather than के case में हम हमेशा near subject को देखते हैं. The near subject is wrath. Wrath is a singular word, so the verb will also be singular. Is going to upset him. Moving on to the second question. The reason for his failure is due to his negligence. I have already given you one example of this. Let's see who remembers redundancy. I will though discuss it in the next class also. You have said the reason also. The reason for his failure is. Why do you have to write due? It's not needed. It's unnecessary. If I say the reason for his failure is his negligence, it makes complete sense. It's clear and concise. These are the options that are always correct. They convey the same meaning and they are more concise. So this is error of redundancy. Error was in C. We have to omit due to. the price of this car is higher than your car. What is the error here, everyone? Let us see who's going to answer this one. The price of this car is higher than your car. Comparison is always done in grammatically same things. तो हम एक प्राइस को, एक कार की प्राइस को दूसरी कार की प्राइस से कंपेयर कर रहे हैं. बट फॉर द सेकेंड कार हमने प्राइस की बात ही नहीं की. सो वी हैव टू improve this sentence or correct this sentence. The price of this car is higher than that of your car. So we have to add this. अब ये जो that है ये एक relative pronoun है जो हमने price के लिए यहाँ पे use किया है. So had I used it like this, the price of this car is higher than the price of your car, तो वो फिर redundancy हो जाती है. मैं दो बार price बोलने की बजाय I will use a pronoun. We use a noun only once. So the price of this car is higher than that of his car. That is used for the price. Error is in the fourth part. And the last question, a lengthy one. Let's test you how much you have learned from today's lecture. So this is one sentence, quite a lengthy one. Now this underlined part has some error. These are the options that you will refer to find out the answer. Quickly go through the question, everyone. Let me also read it for you. The rise in the Commerce Department's index of leading economic indicators suggest that the economy should continue its expansion into the coming months, but that the mixed performance of the index's individual components indicates that economic growth will proceed at a more moderate pace than in the first quarter of this year. So when we see questions like this, we shouldn't be scared, because we just have to check these 2-3 things. Try to find out where is the subject of this sentence, किसके बारे में बात हो रही है यहाँ पे. Then try to find the verb which is used for that subject. और देखो कि उन दोनों का number same है या नहीं. No matter how much of information is given here, it's all misleading, trust me, just to confuse you. So can we see one thing? Can we identify the subject here? The subject here is rise, the rise. हम सिर्फ rise की बात कर रहे हैं. All this is unnecessary. See now, the rise is singular subject. The rise in the Commerce Department's index leading economic indicator suggest. We cannot use suggest. I told you, उन verbs के साथ s और es आएगा जिससे पहले या तो singular word use हुआ हो या third person pronoun he, she, it use हुआ हो. तो क्योंकि ये singular subject है, it should be suggests that economy should continue its expansion into the coming month. Now rest of it, you don't even have to bother about it. What is the meaning of all that? You already found out the error. Let us see, do we have this answer? Okay, so this one has suggests. Let's follow the elimination method. This is suggest, cancelled. Let's keep this one. Expanded into the, so it is not even suggesting you. Suggests that the economy will continue to expand in the, suggests that the economy will continue. But, so answer will be, it suggests that the economy will continue its expanding. यहाँ पे pronoun introduce करने की हमें ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. We are unnecessarily making it wordy. Answer will be E. Suggests that the economy will continue to expand. हम will continue to expand बोलते हैं. It's expanding नहीं बोलते. So answer should be this one. Alright everyone, I hope you people did get some clear picture about how to balance grammar, sentence completion and sentence correction question, or find the error type of question. So no worries, I will be coming up with more example, because with example when we will try to find out the error together, we will learn more. But I want you to be sincerely watching each and every live, attending each and every live, because if there is one concept or one class that you have missed, you will be confused in the next class. Try to be consistent throughout these lives, and if there is anything that you are confused about or want me to talk about, please put it in the comment box. Thank you so much for today. Keep smiling and keep shining.